Good morning, Vita. We have finished with the portion of periodic 1. I hope you marked your answers, and if you're not able to mark or find any answer, ping me personally. I will tell you where the answer is. Now we begin with the portion which is left for term 1. And first chapter what we are taking up for the term 1's extra portion is chapter number 4 of civics, understanding laws. What is actually the importance of a law? Let's take an example of your own house. If your mom and dad don't have certain laws or regulations or rules in the house, what kind of a person would you become? Would you be disciplined? No. Would you know the value of time? No. Similarly, when the whole nation, when the whole country has to be governed, law plays a very, very important role. When 3 months we spent, almost 2.5 to 3 months we spent in lockdown. During the lockdown, we were told to stay indoors because there was curfew outside. Curfew was imposed, and curfew comes under a law that people cannot roam around freely. And why was that law imposed on us? So that we could be safe and not suffer COVID. And imagine if there would be no law and only the only statement would be given by the Prime Minister saying you have to stay at home. Would anybody abide by the law? No. You had that sense of discipline in yourself that if I break this law, if I go out and break this law, I can be arrested and put in the jail. So law brings in a very disciplined, it's actually in the process of making a very disciplined society where people abide by the law, they listen to the law, they accept the law and work in accordance with that. Not then there will be no difference between a person who is living in the jungle and us. So we live in a civilized society abiding by the laws. Now in olden days, like I talked about the kings and all when they were there, every kingdom had a different king and every king had his own rules and regulation for his country, for his kingdom. Now they were different communities, they were different religions, they were different religious laws. There was like everywhere you would find a different variety of law. And not only that, when a law would be broken, then there would be disparity between the punishment giving also. Like if a person belonged to the upper caste, if he would break a law, the punishment would be less when compared to the person who has broken the law if that person is from the lower caste. If the person were to be from the lower caste, his punishment would be more. Caste system was prevalent at that time. People were discriminating on the basis of the color of the skin, the caste, the religion, the economical status of the person. Then everything was in a chaos. Everything depended if you had power. Those who have studied class 6 social studies from me, I said there were 4 varnas of the society. One had the brain power, they were the Brahmins. One had the muscle power, they were the Kshatriyas. One had the money power, they were the Vaishyas. And one had no power, they were the Sudras. So the Sudras, the backward community, was exploited because the laws then implemented had different variety of punishment based on different kinds of discriminations. But if you talk about present day scenario, the law is equal for all. All are equal before the law. Even a person who is begging on the street and even the person who is staying in the most lavish bungalow you can ever imagine of. Everybody is equal in front of laws. Those old age methods have evolved. The entire process of making law evolved, and what we stand today, where we stand today, that entire process of evolution has made each and every human being in the society equal in front of the law. So even if a person on the road commits, like does murder and I do a murder, law is applicable on both and the same punishment will be given. Fine. So let's dig into it more. Now let's cite an example. Supposedly the CM's son. Supposedly the CM's son commits a crime. Supposedly he runs a van or a car over the people who were sleeping on the footpath. Now he is the CM's son. CM is the supreme authority of the state. Will he get off? Will he easily escape from the punishment? No. The law is applicable to everybody. You can, if you feel something wrong is happening with you, you can fight back a case in the court. You can win, you can lose, whatsoever. You have to bear the circumstance, whatever is going to come to you, you have to bear with the outcomes of your crime. So no human, may it be the political authority, may it be the economical stature of the person, may it be the caste of the person, may it be the religion of a person, all are equal before the rule of law. Keep this in mind. Now, let's discuss how did the Britishers make laws, and then how did we intervene in the process of lawmaking since when East India Company had come and the changes had taken place. There were many rulers, Nawabs and all. They were captured in the hands of the clutches and all. So rules kept changing, but certain historians still feel that the laws which were made by the British were arbitrary. That means they're questionable, because I'll take an example of two laws what they made. One was in Sedition Act. And the other one was Rowlatt Act. Now these examples I'm citing to tell you how the Britishers made rules and regulations to actually care for their own care for the British rule. Now, when a person commits a crime, okay, so you need to have proof firstly, in accordance to the present day law, you need to have proof to prove that that person has committed a crime. Then an arrest warrant can be taken out on his name and that a person can be arrested. Now, at that time of British, many were revolting against the Britishers' stupid policies because they were against the Indians. Many were there. Even the moderates, the extremists, all were opposing their rule. At that time, these people, the Britishers, took out an act called Sedition Act. Now, what is the meaning of Sedition Act? This act stated that the Britishers could arrest anybody without any proof and put them in jail. Okay? Like even if you were to be standing at one place and gazing at the parliament over there, if they thought that you are a threat to them, they had no proof that I was a threat to them, they would arrest me and take me away, put me in jail. Many of our freedom fighters opposed this act. They said this was wrong because you need a proof that somebody has done something wrong. Their intentions wrong, you need to prove that fact first. This is one of the examples how Britishers tried to care us for themselves. Next came Rowlatt Act. Even Gandhiji had opposed this particular act. Why? Rowlatt Act said, now if a person is arrested, fine, like in the normal court today, if a person is arrested, you need to produce that person in front of the court. You need to produce that person in front of the court, and the court will decide what will be the punishment. Like after the FIR is lodged, the police needs to make a report of whatever has happened, and then needs to produce that person in the court. Now Rowlatt Act said you need not produce anybody in front of the court. You can be imprisoned directly. मतलब आप 6 साल के लिए, 1 साल के लिए, 6 साल के लिए, 6 महीने के लिए, 1 साल के लिए जेल में डाल दो. That means without even a trial of court, you could be imprisoned. Because to oppose this Jallianwala Bagh meeting was held, and you know what had happened in Jallianwala Bagh? A massacre took place where General Dyer fired and thousands of people died because of it. So if certain laws were there made by, do you think this is a law? No, this is not a law. This is something called, I would say, giving a name to it, Hitlership. Like Hitler was a dictator. Dictator in the very good terms. Like these people under the name of the law were dictating to Indian society. So that would have not been accepted in any case. So what happened is Indians started learning law and they became advocates, barristers. Now they started getting involved in the process of making laws. And they started opposing the entire process also, where it wouldn't be in the profit of the Indians, they would oppose. Definitely they would oppose. And when the Indians started intervening in the process of laws, many changes were made because a lot of protest, a lot of rigorous protest was taking place over there. Changes did happen in the process of making laws. Indians were favored, then some Indians became judges also, just because the Britishers didn't want that much of, I would say, rebellion in the society. They favored a little bit of freedom was given to the Indian judges to take their own, to make the decisions and all. So the process kept on evolving. Evolving means kept on changing. Until and unless came up Indian Constitution. When the Indian Constitution came, it was not overnight that the Constitution was made. The Constitution actually took a long process. Many of them were involved in the process of making the Constitution. Constitution is the book of rules for the country to run. Many people were involved in that drafting committee where the Constitution had to be made. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the head of it. And a process of it kept on making laws and all. And then when entire Constitution was drafted, depending upon then, the circumstances then, when am I talking about? The early 1940s, I would say, when almost we were like on the verge of getting freedom from the Britishers. So Constitution was drafted, and then we do we abide by the same rules and laws today also? Majoritively yes, but because the laws were based on the terms and conditions of that era, of that period of time, now the periods of time have changed, the demands of the society have changed. Now we do a different thing. We make amendments over here. Amendments means changes. We do make amendments in the rules and regulations which have been printed in the Constitution to meet with the present day scenarios demand. We do make changes, and we do bring in new laws also. Like when you were in 6th standard, you had heard about Hindu Succession Amendment Act of 2005. Till then, till 2005, the girls, the feminine gender of the family wouldn't get a share in the property of the parents, which was absolutely wrong. We are if we are siblings, we are from the same mom and dad. We are of the same parents, so we have equal rights on the property of our parents. Till 2005, the feminine gender, the female gender, did not have any rights over the property. But when the Hindu Succession Amendment Act came in, it brought a very drastic change, saying that both the female and the male have an equal ownership right in the property of their parents. Paternal or maternal property, both. So certain things, this is the basic introduction of laws. The next topics I will be discussing in the next lecture. So read your chapter till here and understand what I was trying to say. This is the basic introduction. This is the evolution process of how the laws changed and how people had done it earlier, had made it earlier, what basis on which circumstances basis and all. So read the chapter and then you will know next process in the next lecture. Thank you.